What's going on, YouTube? My name is GinJTCG, or Chris, and I'm back with another episode of the Battle VIPs podcast. This week we're going to be talking about the meta since it's changed from the Worlds format, because there were actually some ridiculous changes. I think this might have been the biggest change the podcast has seen yet, and it proved we actually make some legit predictions, which we'll get into in a bit. We'll also be talking about the new cards coming out in Stellar Crown, and we are again joined by the three main hosts, myself, Avery, and Josh.
Yo.
Absolutely. Let's get it rolling. Let's talk about this number one pick that's going to make a lot of you guys a little bit upset. And I'm here for it.
In the one spot, we got Ancient Box. This pick was my top rogue deck from 2 weeks ago before Worlds, and I think now it has finally came to shine. It has the cleared for the most tournaments won and top 4 placements, and I think it's up there in like top 8 overall placements in deck. But with the low 5.74% overall play rate of the deck into tournaments with 50 more people online and in person over the past couple weeks, that is actually ridiculously impressive. I don't think we've seen a deck with this little a play rate do this well, especially like an all single prize one in a long time.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, this is the single prize deck to play unless you want to play Gardevoir, which, and some people can argue that Gardevoir is not really a single prize like full deck.
I wouldn't say Gardevoir is a single prize deck. It uses single prizes to its advantage, but Gardevoir EX literally exists. I think if you played like one Squawk or one Luminion or Pheasantipia, like United Wings. United Wings is a single prize deck, even though it plays Squawk and Pheasantipity, because it's all single prize Pokemon to attack and make its function. Gardevoir EX isn't.
Yeah, fair enough. So if you're looking for a single prize deck to pick up and play, I'd recommend Ancient Box. I mean, some people will not be too happy with you, but that's just how it goes with the TCG. People love to make big things out of little things. So if you want to go ahead and run that Ancient Box, go right ahead and do it.
I think that's just people in general. People hate whatever's doing well, which is fair. Like sports, people hate whatever team is doing the best, whatever player's doing the best. TCGs, people are going to hate whatever deck is doing amazing. And I think people, just like Regidrago, were rooting for Regidrago for years because it was fun. It does amazing. Now everyone hates it, and everyone just complains and whines.
Oh, it's different now.
It's like, oh, you finally got what you wanted, and now you hate it. Ancient Box is the same thing. It's like, oh, we all wanted a single prize deck to destroy the meta and take the format back to how it used to be years ago. Well, guess what? We got a single prize deck doing that. And everyone's like, oh my god, I hate it. This deck sucks. You shouldn't play it. And I'm like, why? This is
maybe
it's
good.
You asked.
Might be a bit of because people don't like Roaring Moon EX, so any Roaring Moon card, they just feel like they have to disrespect the game. If I see a Roaring Moon player, this one, I'm not going to be the happiest, but I also don't care as much as if you were just going to knock me out with that if I had a million HP. So, you know what? At the end of the day, I respect Roaring Moon players. You gotta actually think when you play your deck, unlike a lot of these top decks.
Saying Roaring Moon has to think hurts.
More than some of these other decks, it does.
The single prize one,
misinformation.
I think also something nice about this deck that it doesn't abuse like other decks is flip cards, which everyone is complaining about, which is fair. If the meta has to be boosted, like if the only way the top tier decks can get better is by playing Pokemon Catcher, I don't necessarily think that's the healthiest format. Do I think this format is unhealthy? Like, not even a little bit, actually. I think this format is like 100% fine and people are blowing it out of the water just to complain, which is fair. Like, if you're complaining just for the sake of complaining, like, I totally understand. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, this deck doesn't play any cards like that. The closest you get is maybe Pokégear, and I don't think Pokégear really fits in that category. Pokégear, Great Ball, those cards are fine. Okay. That's a very legit way to help consistency. No one ever complained when Lugia played Great Ball. People, like, I've seen, like, on like, Pokemon TCG Twitter, like, people putting, like, Pokemon Catcher, Crushing Hammer, and Pokégear in images, like, oh, I hate when these are staple cards in the format. The format sucks, and I don't think that's fair for Pokégear, because no one complained when Great Ball was in Lugia, and it's the same exact card, except for supporters to Pokemon.
Pokégear's been around for such a long time too and it's been consistent in so many decks that I don't get where the hate's coming from now.
A lot of these cards have been around for quite some time. I mean,
has Pokemon ever not been in the format? Actually, isn't that a card like Research that never rotates?
I think it might be.
I'm not 100% certain. I thought it was because there's so many arts of it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, yo, I don't want to hear a single person complain about Pokemon Catcher, because that you didn't used to be able to flip a coin for that. It was boss's orders as an item card, all right? So y'all got the privilege of being at least able to maybe tell your opponent no. All right, I never got that privilege. I saw Pokemon Catcher come out, and oh, there goes my shaman. All right, GG's, scoop, wrap it up, pack it up. You played 4-item boss's orders, indiscriminately, just taking out everything. Just pick what you want and take it. At least the coin flip is there. And now I get it. Coin flips are luck based. All right, we're playing a card game. You can almost argue that everything in life is luck based. All right.
Okay, wait, hold up. Before we get into this rant, let me at least get to the number 2 deck. It's crap. It's Charizard Pidgeot. It doesn't play any of those. I thought it was Raging Bull. I forgot. I messed up the list. Never mind. Continue your rant. We'll talk about Charizard after. Well, I spoiled the 3.
Like, I don't like luck based is like cool and all, but like almost everything you do is luck based. So at the end of the day, you're complaining for nothing. I understand you got hit with a Pokemon Catcher. You lost the game. All right, it's all right. You can be upset for like max 30 minutes. I give you to be upset. 30 minutes is reasonable. All right, after that, you can just say, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
it happens.
We're playing a card game. You either shuffle all your energy and Manaphy into your starting hand, or you don't. You're playing Pokemon Catcher. You either flip heads or you don't. Your dice is either weighted or it's not. Like, it's whatever.
Oh,
anyways,
no, don't do the weight.
The weighted
dice. The weighted dice is crazy.
No, I swear some people's dice be weighted, though. Because there's no way they be flipping heads every time against me.
They got the acrylic weighted ones for like $100. Like, they somehow pulled it off.
Oh my god. Yeah, they got the clear see-through weighted dice. If you didn't know, a very obscure rule of... I'm pretty sure every TCG, but specifically the Pokemon TCG, I know 100%. When you go to a regionals or anything like that, if you're rolling a dice as you're flipping a coin, which most people do, don't be the weirdo like Josh who actually flips coins. It's terrifying.
Yo, no, don't even hate
I don't judge
it's
them.
so
I
much
love
fun.
those players, but like mad people will judge you, so just be wary of it.
Nothing's
when
wrong
you
with being
roll
judged.
a dice, the dice has to be clear for it to officially count. So if you look at like all the dice in the Pokemon streamed games, all the dice they have laid out for the players to use are all clear for that reason. Because a clear dice is like infinitely harder to make legitimately weighted. So yeah, random rule in case no one knew it was there. It's something you might want to be careful about when you go to a regionals. Just bring a couple of them. If you forget to roll it in like a random match, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna really care, but just to have them in case. And then I guess before jumping to Pidgeot too, I just wanted to say Ancient Box matchup spread is literally insane right now. Like this is I know people aren't gonna be happy I put it as the top deck, but the only deck this thing really folds to is Charizard and Dragapult, and Charizard is the only other deck that comes close to having the same stat line as Ancient Box, which is why I was in the 2. I thought Raging Bolt was. I think that's our next deck. But yeah, Charizard's back. I feel like Charizard fell off for a bit. There was like a few weeks it was really underperforming, like before Worlds and Worlds. I feel like Charizard underperformed. People wanted it to do amazing. It did. It's not that it did awful. It just didn't like make. It didn't even make top 8, which, right? Did it? No.
No, I don't think it did. No, I think Tord got 10th, and I think that was the highest Zard got.
Yeah. I think you're right, which is surprising for Charizard, because Charizard has that super high bar where not making top 8 at Worlds is apparently a bad thing for the deck. So it's not that the deck is bad, it's always been great, it's just it underperformed by the insane standard it's set for itself. But I think now is another great time to bring it back, because I think, honestly, this is the only evolution-based deck that could hang in such an aggressive format. Like Dragapult falls apart to Raging Bolt, like Chien Pao, Miraidon. Miraidon's not awful, but Miraidon's hard, because they get Iron Hands half your board. It's hard into a lot of these hyper aggro type decks. Charizard can hang with them because of Unfair Stamp, Dusknoir, and Radiant Charizard. Like that, those 3 cards really fix a lot of problems against like Raging Bolts, Ancient Boxes, Roaring Moon, stuff like that. Anything else?
I mean, you just put it as good as I could. I mean, Zard is one of those decks that, like, it's hated on because it's good. Again, people don't like playing against Zard because it's like, guess what? They have everything in hand. They have everything. You see an Ultra Ball come out, you're immediately in your brain, Oh, they got rare candy Pidgeot, then they're gonna grab the Charizard, and they already have another rare candy in hand.
And
So
they
I'm
had the
basically
Forest Seal
just
Stone on Rotom they didn't use, so it's like, well, all right, there's 4 Charizards in play now.
Yep, it's over.
Yeah. Yep, that's
And
Charizard.
My thing with Charizard is that I think people would like it so much more if it wasn't Charizard. Imagine if it was a 3-stage line and it was like a Magmortar EX doing this.
Well, no, I think that's why people love it. Charizard is one of the
That's why,
most loved
personally,
Pokemon
to me,
in the community.
that's why I dislike it. I think
Yeah,
people should.
I think we're on the same page because Charizard is shoved down Pokemon players' throats so much. Like, every new thing that comes out, there's a new Charizard. Any new V-Star, V-Max, EX, any new promo, there's a Charizard. A Radiant, there's Charizard everything. And I think it makes players like us upset because we want, like, Magmortar, like you said, to get some love. But in terms of, like, a business standpoint, dude, Pokemon profits the most off Pikachu Charizard easily.
Yeah,
There's always going to be a dominant Charizard in the format, or Mew. Those are, like, the 3 most loved Pokemon in the world. You ask a random person to name 3 Pokemon, they're gonna tell you those 3 are Gengar for no reason. That's
There's
it.
always one of them. There's
Yeah.
always one of them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's Charizard, and it's fair. It's easy. It's an easy deck to play. This is why I give it to beginners all the time. It's an easy deck to play. You could take it to insane levels like 10th at Worlds like Tord, and it'll do amazing. There's such a high ceiling that you could take this deck to when you really get down to the matchups and the really tiny technical tech cards. But overall, just learning how to play Charizard is so much easier than other decks, and I think that's great because it's a Pokemon so many people love. And it's a deck that's relatively easy to pick up and learn how to play. So honestly, I don't hate Charizard as a deck. A lot of people complain about Charizard, say it's super annoying. I think the only thing that's super annoying about it is 330 HP because it's the worst type of math for so many decks I enjoy playing. If it was 320, it's manageable. 330 is just annoying, but it's like, I'll cope. I've played against it so many times. It's not like it's impossible to beat. It's very straightforward. It's very linear. So I've got nothing wrong with Charizard right now. And it's definitely a clear number 2. It's got the second most overall wins. It's tied for first in top 4 with Ancient Box, I believe. And then it's got the second highest top 8. Like Ancient Box and Charizard, I think you want to put Charizard in 1, Ancient Box in 2, that's fine. I think Ancient Box just wins more tournaments. It has a better matchup spread when you're not playing Charizard. So Charizard falls to the 2 for that, but they're the same thing.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all there is there. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you just put it perfectly.
I appreciate it. We've talked about Charizard how many times before, dude?
Every episode. Every episode.
Yeah. You know, it's
always present. It's always here.
It's an art at this point. Like
it exists.
All right,
we're optimizing the Zard Talk.
Even when it fell off, it was still here.
We're optimizing Zard Talk is disgusting. I hate it.
We're speed running it now. We found the optimal strats.
In the 3 spot, the deck I originally thought I had at the 2, but I forgot, even though I made this list like 2 hours ago. The 3 is Raging Bolt. So you were complaining about Counter Catcher before. If you want to talk about Raging Bolt, Avery, this one's you.
Listen, all right, I mean no ill will towards you Raging Bolt players, right? But when I say I hate y'all, I really do, all right? Because here's what y'all do. You start off with a single Raging Bolt in the active. Now, me personally, that's already enough to, like, make me put my phone down, walk away, take a breather. And by the time I take those 10 steps back, you got 3 Ogerpon with an energy, you got 2 energy switches, you got everything. You get everything. The consistency with this deck is what makes it crazy. 2 energy switches
in a deck that doesn't play energy switch is crazy.
Oh, 100%. They got it like that. You know what I mean? They had
Reggie
it in their sleeve.
It's SATA based, bud.
Yeah, y'all got everything. My fault. I mixed it up because. All right, take two. Yeah, start off with the SATA. You got everything. You got the basic fighting manual attached. You got the lightning energy. You got all the Ogerpons. You squawk on your first turn.
You hit your 3 Pokemon catchers in your first turn for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like you Pokemon catcher just to bring something up, and then you Pokemon catcher just to put it back, just to show me that you got it like that.
And then you prime catcher for the bamboozle.
Oh, 100%. Every single time. Yeah. I just, like, you guys are way too consistent. Like, you guys are good. Don't get me wrong. You guys are great players. But you're playing an annoying deck, all right? So, like, come on, find something else.
I think similar to Charizard, though, as this deck, I think in aggro format, like, this is the most aggressive format we've been in a while. Like, a long time, in my opinion. It's never been all of these basic decks running the top 7, top 10, whatever your list is, like it is right now. I think Raging Bolt is the most consistent, hits the hardest, has the most bulk. It's the best by, not by far, but by enough to say it's the best aggro deck. I think especially because of consistency, but I think what's important to note with it, similar to Charizard, it's so linear. It's not hard to counter a deck like this. I mean, we'll get into that in top tech cards, but just like Charizard, like, very easy to play, very easy to pick up, great for newer players. That being said, just like Charizard, there's so many ways, like, once you learn how to deal with this matchup, it becomes so much more straightforward, because these lists don't vary often. They don't vary by much, and when they do vary, it still doesn't change the deck enough to change your general plan that you've learned on how to deal with Raging Bolt. Like, I feel like if you make a deck and you're like, I have a good Raging Bolt matchup, most of your games will actually follow your plan for dealing with Raging Bolt. So that's I feel like always gonna be a problem for very aggressive decks, is they're just linear by default, because you're aggressive, which means you're consistent and you do one thing, you do it amazingly, you do it every time, but that's Raging Bolt's trick. It's a one-trick pony. It blows up the active. That's it.
Yeah, it's like Chiampao, except with like 3 less steps and like 10 more damage.
Yeah, and that 10 damage per energy genuinely fixes so much math, it's actually not even funny.
Oh, 100%. It's
Yeah.
very rare that even as a Chiampao player, like, I have to discard an extra energy, just hit like an extra 10 damage, but like for you guys,
It's
you
not
guys just
even
get it.
necessarily 10. I'm thinking like 280 on Regidrago V-Stars, Lugia V-Stars. Like, they hit
Yeah.
that perfectly in 4. You need 5.
Yeah.
You know,
really
which, and it's stuff like that. Like, 5 energy is now more than a superior energy retrieval. Whereas
Helps
for
with
them,
that
it's
thing
one
very
side of
easily.
1 energy retrieval. You know, which is easy
Yeah.
for them to hit. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, yes, it's only 10 damage per energy, but that 10 damage genuinely changes so much.
Yeah, it stacks really quick when you're
yeah.
attacking. It just numbers so much better.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's Raging Bolt. It's Raging Bolt things. Moving on, Gardevoir, another deck we've talked about forever. Josh, you could do this. You haven't talked about Gardevoir.
Gardevoir,
Yeah.
I really,
Look at that.
really like where Gardevoir is at right now. I know that's something that I think a lot of people are saying. I think that Gardevoir is switched so much since I've started playing. Was Gardevoir in when I started playing,
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Gardevoir was in when I started playing, and it was so, like, long setup, stuff like that. Gardevoir stayed in...
Really? I think Gardevoir
It was a little more.
BDIF when he started playing.
Oh, it
Because
was.
it had
but
Shining
it was-
Arcana.
Yeah, but it was a little more setup with, like, similar to Charizard, where you, like, evolve and stuff. Now it's just you're using Drifloon, you're using... Like, you're sitting there, and it's a
It's the
very good
Monkey
mix
Dories. The Monkey Dories made this
Yeah.
deck so much better somehow, and I don't.
Yes.
I still
Oh, yes,
don't understand
100%.
how, but they're so good.
And I love single prize rates. That's why I played Lost Box, and I guess technically Ambipom, if you count that.
You did. You
Um,
brought it to a regional. Yeah.
So I like how they use single prizes a lot now. And then it's a very good mix of hyper, like, offense, and then playing defensively with Flutter Mane, left key,
And
using
even just
Devolution,
playing
stuff
all
like that.
single prizers, you can make the argument, like single prize attackers. Like, yes, there's Gardevoir EX. I don't think this is fair to consider a single prize deck, but when you're playing with
That's
all
what I
single
mean,
prize
yeah.
attackers, you force longer games, which is always hard for decks like Raging Bull, like not
Yes.
necessarily Miraidon because they have Iron Hands, but like, you know, decks like that, because then they have to take more KOs. Even if it's less work, they just have to keep that momentum up so much longer. But yeah, no, you're
And that's why I
totally
think
right.
Gardevoir is such a good spot, because
Yeah.
it hits so hard being a single prize deck.
Oh
And
my god. Yeah.
relatively consistent as well. Not as
Relatively?
consistent as Raging Bolt.
Are you kidding
Honestly-
me? Triple
No, I'm not.
refinement for 6 plus Greninja for 8 plus top deck is already 9 cards a turn, and you're using
I was comparing him to the
relatively.
deck we just talked about. I was comparing him to the deck we just talked about. It's not.
Yes, it's probably more
You think it
consistent.
is? Really?
Dude, you're drawing 50 cards
In
a
my-
turn before Iono.
I disagree. In a perfect world, but I don't think you hit it as often as you'd like, and as often as you do hit it in Raging Bull. I just think you
I
get what
don't-
you need more in Raging Bull.
Just getting
consistently.
a single Curlia down is such a buff that it's like
Yeah.
But if you
10 times.
go on, Avery, sorry, go on. Yeah.
Like, getting one Curlia down is great. If you have 2, that's an extra 4 cards, and then with that, you're probably gonna find an energy Greninja for an extra 2. you're drawing like 7 cards. I genuinely think that like you if you don't have what you need, next turn you're getting it. And if you don't, you have a supporter for your turn to get it. And when you're attacking with a single prizer, that takes energy from your discard pile. It's not like you have to have it in hand. No, you could just
use refinement. You use your draw engine to set up your attackers.
It's just insane. It's almost like a deck that's in the rogue decks that I'm excited to talk about.
And I think another important point I'm going to stop you before you spoil it. When we talk about consistency with comparing it to Raging Bolt, I'm not just talking about the turn 1 setup. Yes, Gardevoir has a rougher time setting up on their first turn because it's not Raging Bolt. It doesn't play Squawk. That's what happens if you don't play Squawk. But when I say consistency, what happens in the late game when you have both of these decks have 2 prizes left, sitting on the tables next to each other. Both get Iono'd at the same time. Who's going to have a better time getting out of that Iono? You have 2 Kirlian play versus Raging Bolt, which has 2 Ogerpons. 2 cards. You're 3 if you count the top deck with Ogerpons. 5 when you count 2 Kirlias plus top deck.
Yeah, I'd say I was relating more to like just like early game because that's kind of where I.
Oh yeah, early game consistency. Raging Bolt clears. Yes.
Example, I was thinking early game because that's where I, as a player, thrive. I think. So that's kind of where my mind goes more.
But when we say a deck's consistent, I don't just mean early game. I mean overall, can it close a game? Are you able to play the game for your length of the game? Gardevoir games try to force a 50-minute best of 1. Do you know how consistent a deck has to be to play for that long and still guarantee a win in a best of 1? Like, that's insane. And I think, like, when you look at the matchup spread, like, you made a good point. You said you think Gardevoir is an amazing spot. If you look up the matchup spread, like, on Trainer Hill, it's honestly not amazing. But I think that's because Gardevoir is, like, the hardest meta deck to play right now. And I think that's why, like, a lot of people bringing this to online tournaments just might not be ready to tackle something like Gardevoir in these 30-minute best of 1 online tournaments. And that could be a big challenge for Gardevoir players that might tank the matchup spread a little bit more than an experienced player. Like I don't know, just taking a glance at it, it's doing rough against what's a random deck it's like not doing amazing against Regidrago. Okay, I'm not surprised. Ancient Box, I feel like a good, I mean, actually no, that makes sense too because they're swinging with the dark Pokemon. They could just boss up Gardevoir EX. I don't know, but you get my point. You know, like Stall. The good Gardevoir players playing Turo and Palpad, no, which actually this list is not, interesting enough. But you know what I mean? Like, a good Gardevoir player knows their Stall matchup, like, without, I couldn't snap there like that. Whereas, like, an inexperienced Gardevoir player is going to have a miserable time against Stall. I've seen it in locals so. You remember Mike at locals? Josh?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
when Billy played Stall, dude. Billy washed him.
Oh yeah,
dude, you give someone like Andrew Gardevoir, he's cooking. He's cooking.
And he plays Guardy all the time. Andy was.
That's what I mean.
So
he's cooking Stall, dude. He's not losing.
When you have an experienced Guardy player, so much different of a player.
And I'm not trying to discourage anyone watching from playing Guardy. You just need to take time to learn it. It's going to be harder than other decks. Just like remember that. You have, despite what the matchup spread says, I think it's slightly better than what it already is, which means it's very viable and deserving of this 4 spot. Yeah, Gardevoir.
Very happy to play that. Very happy to play that right now.
Yeah.
It is one of the hardest decks to play. But if you can master Gardevoir, you're gonna be
a threat.
Phenomenal player.
Sorry to interrupt you.
It is one of.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, it is a deck that will make you amazing at this game. If you can master Guardy, you can almost master like any deck. So,
I went to the next slide. I realized I don't know how to count. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 6, 7. My bad. Anyways, in the what should be 5 spot,
come on, we play a numbers game.
Yeah, and I can't math. All right, like, man, dude. We got Turbo Roaring Moon on what should be the 5 spot. Honestly, tied for 6, I'm not even upset with, because these two decks have such a similar like overall play rate, win rate, top 4 rate, and top 8 rate, like, I'm so fine with these being tied for 5th or 6th. But we got Turbo Roaring Moon in the 6th. I mean, this deck has made a massive comeback. I feel like this deck has not been a part of the meta for so long, but because we're entering this hyper aggressive, you want to take a KO on a 2-prize Pokemon on your first turn going second, how do you leave Roaring Moon out of that equation? You can't. And with the Petra Run plus Pheasantipity buff this deck got, I mean, how do you not have this deck do amazing right now, you know?
Yeah, with those 2 new cards coming out, it just took Roaring Moon and, like, I think single-handedly put it back on the map, along with something coming up where, like, the more aggro type of playstyle is coming, because now you go second, place down Roaring Moon, you get energy, you get Asados, and fine. Like, it's just Roaring Moon is just such a quick deck that there was no way to be left out of the meta list right now.
Yeah, no. It could keep pace with everything. It could swing as hard as everything. It's got Frenzied Gouging, which can take out any big threats that it can't somehow take out with, like, Calamity Store. You know, like Raging Bolts, you could just go Frenzied Gouging. Though, who cares if you got 30 HP left? You're swinging for KOs every time. It's really just who goes second in that matchup. You know, if you got to go Frenzied Gouging for 2-4-6, so be it. Like, that's fine. But you also have Prime Catcher to take up an Ogerpon and just use a Calamity Storm on an Ogerpon for KO. Like, there's so much this deck has. Having those 2 attacks make that card such a threat. Like, Frenzied Gouging and Calamity Storm might be the perfect combo of attacks for, like, a basic EX aggro deck out there.
Yeah, this is one of those decks that if you play against, you could literally, after you press end of turn, you go up to get a glass of water, you come back, it's already your turn again because they just took 2 prizes. I mean, like,
real.
This deck sets up way too fast. I'm not gonna say that I like playing against it, but I will say that, like, it is just one of those decks. It's just annoying at the end of the day, like, at least to me. There's almost, like, it's just really hard to go against. It really is. It's not like they have abilities that they abuse that you can, like, shut off. I mean, unless you're playing, like, Quad Thorns and they can't Squawk or Perchant or Pheasantipity, you're almost just gonna sit there and you just gotta sit there and understand that, like, when the chance goes up for you to go second, you gotta take that chance to go second, because even they're not gonna get the best first turn in the world, but you have the chance to take them out before they take you out. Take that chance. Because that moon will send you to the discard pile.
And then on top of that, after all this stuff happens, you could be, like, tied 2 prize cards left, 2 prize cards left with a different deck. Now you bring up a single prizer with your regular Roaring Moon, and now you're swinging for what? Probably 210 after you get all that ancient in the discard. And now you're swinging for 210 with a single prizer to end the game. It's just it's really rough.
Even if you can't take a KO with the single prize Roaring Moon, if you could set something up to be KO'd with Calamity Storm and force your opponent. Like, if you could take out a Roaring Moon, do enough damage to a Raging Bolt, and by enough damage, I literally mean 20 damage, which base is already 70, you know, like, that's fine. You know, now you've got a full HP 2-prizer in play. You don't have to worry about them only needing 1 energy. Now at least they need a couple, you know, like, what, 3 energy, which is better than 1, you know, like, the deck has a lot of options, a lot of outs. Night Stretcher, even though it's only a 1 of in, like, this specific list, I think that's a huge buff to a deck like this, you know, just instantly take back Pheasantipity or Radiant Greninja after it was boss KO'd, you know, in case you get Iono'd or something. Like, that's so big in a deck like this. And you don't have to worry about playing switch cards anymore if you're worried about, like, a stall matchup or someone trying to stall you out. Like, you've just got permanent switch in the deck. You don't care if you're poisoning yourself. You're doing 200 damage to yourself when you auto KO. Like, I don't know. I've never been a fan of cards that just have text that say, I instantly KO your active Pokemon, but I have to respect how good they are. I mean, that's part of the reason why I don't think they're that much fun to play, personally. Like, it's not that I really judge or get upset when people do play them. They're amazing. They're printed. Play them. That's why they're there. But do I enjoy playing those cards? Not really. I just think it takes a lot of the creativity and fun out of the game for me, and that's why it's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Giratina had that attack, right?
Yeah, and I never liked playing Giratina for the same reason.
It required at least, like, a few turns of setting it up in order to do that attack. You needed to call this a few times. Yeah. This, it just says, just do it whenever. And of course, you're taking a lot of damage. Now, and one of the worst things about this deck is that the HP numbers across the board are ridiculously low compared to other decks.
Yeah.
I mean, your highest HP is 230. A lot of decks are swinging for that. very, very easily, especially in this format. So like,
but I think that's fine. That's not a worry.
Yeah.
Because you're taking the first 2 prize KO anyways.
You're moving so fast with this deck that it makes up for it almost.
Yeah.
Like when you look at its matchup spread, it's even with Raging Bolt. It's great against 90% of the meta. It's only bad against Ancient Box, which everything right now is actually bad against Ancient Box.
It's 49%. Dude, it's dead even with Ancient Box. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong deck. Yeah, it's trash against Ancient Box. I lied.
And then Lost Box, which is not really Lost Box isn't that present right now.
Yeah.
Lugia, it's only 46%, which is fine. And Miraidon.
No, Lugia's fine. Lugia, it's 50,
yeah, Lugia's fine. It's only really Miraidon and
Miraidon. 45% win rate is fine. That's.
Well,
once you drop under 40, I'd say you gotta really worry. But 45
I'm trying to make it sound. I'm trying to make it sound a little worse than it is. I'm not gonna lie.
No, which is fair. Hey, dude, I love some meta.
It's so good. It's just so good right now. It does well against it does well in everything. It just moves too quick.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our 5 pick. We're moving on from Roaring Moon. We could talk all day about Frenzied Gouging is annoying. We got Regidrago V-Star, which is what should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna dive in.
You want this one? Go for it.
I hate this deck. I wanted this deck to be good so bad. I wanted it to be phenomenal. And then Kieran came out, and as a Lost Box player, I almost shied away from the game completely for a little while. I played a little bit, but like my gameplay has went down since this game came out because I was just such a one-trick pony with Lost Box. And now I'm just sad.
Oh, no,
the deck is so good. It has so many good options. Obviously, Ogerpon, it runs kind of similar to the Raging Bolt in some aspects with Ogerpon. Yeah. It's just so solid. It sets up turn 2 so quick.
Ogerpon, Squawk, Cope.
It does so much. Yeah. Obviously, with its attack, it can do so many different things. It can go well in so many different matchups. Again, like it's in a really good spot, and I personally hate it as a Lost Box player.
It's just Dragapult EX, but better. Like if you want to play Dragapult EX, I don't know what the benefit of playing Dragapult EX is. Having 320 HP compared to 280 HP is not that big a difference when you're staring down mostly Raging Bolts. Maybe, I mean, yes, okay, maybe against Ancient Box. That's actually really big, because 320 is a lot harder for Ancient Box to hit. Those last 4 cards to do 40 more damage can get really difficult. But besides that, I mean, you don't need to. This is easier to set up. You do it on your second turn with Energy Switch and Ogerpon. It's just, it's Regidrago. We've all seen it.
Yeah, I recently picked it up to grind the ladder, and I'm like, wow, this is way too consistent. I don't like this.
It's very consistent,
and I see a lot of people that don't use, like, Hisui and Gudra is not even in this list.
No,
unless I'm skipping over it.
Yeah. A lot of people have been taking it out because of the popularity of Raging Bolt, Roaring Moon, and I mean Ancient Box it did well against, but those 2 decks, since those 2 decks are doing so insanely well right now, I honestly don't think that's actually a bad decision. I like Iron Leaves instead of Gudra right now because Charizard is more popular. Iron Leaves one-shots Charizard, which helps this deck a lot in the late game, especially because energy in the late game is very hard to move around. Iron Leaves does it with its ability, and since there's decks that just say I KO you no matter how much less damage you take, and are you gonna tell me Raging Bolt cares that you take 80 less damage? Like, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's fair enough, but like, at least with the way that I play the game, I might take out one of these Dragapults and just throw in a Gudra and just call it a day.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think there's a lot of rogue decks and a lot of random decks, especially if you're just playing predominantly on the ladder. I think Gudra is not a must, but like really, really consider it before you take it out, because I think it's amazing. But if you're going to like a tournament, you could probably live without Gudra. If you're going to a locals, you probably know your friends. You either know they're playing, like, I don't know, some goofy deck like Festival Leads, and you need it, or you don't. Or if you're going to a regional, you might be like, you know what, if I run into the one rogue player playing a deck like that, so be it. You know, I'd rather go more consistency on Dragapult and play the Iron Leaves for the Charizards I expect to see a lot more. Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm also just like, also one of those guys that like, listen, I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, right? You might not like me when I say this, right? I use Kyurem's attack more than a lot of people want to. A lot of people see that discard all energy and they start shivering in their timbers like, nah, bro, I want everything on your bench to go away. Send it to the discard pile.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I'll figure it out. All right, I'll figure it out. But I'm taking 3 prizes.
You've done that to me testing so, like, you don't even care about playing the game. You just want to pull off turn 2 Kirim. Like, it's so funny.
True, because it's awesome. It's an awesome attack.
It is. No, and honestly, it's probably a good way to play it. I mean, we're in an aggressive format. Why not just match that energy, you know?
Set up pressure. A lot of these decks are evolving decks. If you can take out 3 Kirlia with Kirim, they literally lose the game.
Double
if
Charmander,
you take out,
Pidgey.
Oh no, that right there. You're sending them to the psych ward. They're going to the psych ward.
They're gonna be my clients in a couple years.
150%. And I'm gonna keep it completely honest. I don't use Dragapult's attack like almost at all. Like I don't even consider
crazy.
That's
I don't
insane.
use it.
It's such a good
attack is actually mental.
It's so good.
I rolling iron all day, and if that doesn't work, then say goodbye to something on your bench.
I do disagree. I think Gudra has a good spot out of this deck right now because the meta is just so fast.
Yeah.
Also,
Gudra as a card and as a deck just doesn't fit with what we're in right now.
Gudra stocks go up when you play when like Charizard, Gardevoir, decks like that tend to go up. But when you're playing against a bunch of Miraidons, Roaring Moons, Ancient Box, it does do well against. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. I don't mean to. I keep thinking of Roaring Moon EX and saying Ancient Box. Roaring Moon EX, yeah, Raging Bolt, like Gudra is gonna do less and less. Be less and less effective in the higher level competitions. Again, playing on the ladder, stick Gudra in your deck, you're gonna have more fun with it. You're going to a tournament tomorrow, Iron Leaves EX might be the better play.
Yeah.
But
fair enough.
Yeah. Regidrago V-Star, we all know what it is. We've seen it before. It's got solid stats. I don't think we actually said it out loud. If you're not seeing the podcast, you're just listening along. 9.1 overall percent play rate, which is one of the highest. 8.6% win rate, which is tied for 4th with like 7 different decks in the past couple weeks. 7.1% top 4, 7.9% top 8. Like it's doing its thing. It's doing it well. It's not destroying the meta like pre-Worlds, but it's not that it's non-existent. It's just not winning or running the top 4 in every single tournament at the moment. But that doesn't mean it's not a good deck anymore. It's still amazing. It's gonna have great matchups. And look, we're sitting here debating over Gudra, Dragapult. There's still so many options. You can stick Noivern in this list right now. That's a card I'd really consider putting in. Like, dude, there's so many options for this deck. Like, it's ridiculous. No one list of Regidrago is perfect. The only perfect list is perfect for that day in that tournament, if it wins. I
think where this deck is at right now, like this very day, is what we all wanted.
Yeah, it's what we've been asking for years, and a lot of people are mad it's here, and that's fine.
I think people were so mad because it was so apparent when it got good. It was everywhere.
Yeah, like
that's what got hated.
The moment that Kyurem card got like revealed, the entire Regidrago community crawled out of their dungeons.
It wasn't even that. It was the second Ogerpon was revealed. Regidrago crawled out of the dungeons and became one of the most played decks. The second Kyurem came to play, the Regidrago players now claim BDIF.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah, and I've got it at the 6. I don't have it at BDIF. You guys didn't yell at me when I put it at the 6, so clearly y'all don't either. And I'm not saying 1 is always BDIF. Like, I don't necessarily think Ancient Box is the best deck in the format right now. I think it's S tier with a couple others. I just have it as the best. I guess that means it would be the B. I don't know. I think BDIF is like clear winner across all decks. It's not. Yeah. This deck is not either. It's definitely not. You're gonna tell me this deck has a shot against a solid set up Roaring Moon or Raging Bolt player? Nope. Not happening. So, yeah. Regidrago in our final spot for the 7th overall meta deck preview, or not, I was gonna say meta deck Monday, for meta forecast. We got Lugia V-Star. It's been here for years. It's always floating in the meta. There's less to say about this than Charizard. You got Chinchino single prizers, you got Lugia for decent bulk, solid 2-prize 2-shot attacker, Pheasantipity, Luminion for consistency, Iron Hands to deal with Guardian, decks like that, Blood Moon or Saluna for late game sweep. If you're sick of Regidrago OHKOing you with Giratina V-Star as an attacker, you could play V-Guard Energy and tell him to cope, do it again. It's got it all. I think that just cleared the whole list. Oh, bench side, excuse me, got Wellspring Ogre Pond. There we go, now we're good.
This deck literally made one of our friends quit for so long. So long.
Really?
Aaron, this is a check if you're watching
yeah.
this. I need you.
Shout out Aaron.
This is a check.
Buddy has not been the same since Silver Tempest.
I saw him at our local game store, and he didn't look the same as before.
Wait, what?
Something happened. We I think it was for the pre-release. I think it was for
oh, like a few weeks. It was like a month ago or so, a couple months ago. Yeah. No, he's coming back into the game very slowly. He's dipping his toes in. Luckily, he hasn't seen Lugia.
His toes, though.
Yeah, he hasn't seen Lugia, so he's getting more and more invested. I won't reveal his pick for Baltimore, but he's got a good Lugia matchup, which I think is going to help his sanity a lot more, because that kid is always flirting on the edge of the precipice of death at all moments.
He also loves to stick expanded cards in his deck.
So true.
I played against him IRL, dude. I saw 2 Battle VIP pass at the table.
Yeah.
I was like, Judge, hello?
I mean, he doesn't care to change with the format. He's stopped playing when Lugia was in Silver Tempest.
He is his own
destruction.
format.
Yeah, Aaron does what
bro
Aaron
is the
wants.
format.
Yeah.
And we gotta respect it at the end of the day. It happens.
Lugia put him on the brink of death as a TCG player, but he's finally coming back, and I think I've convinced him to play a deck with a good enough Lugia matchup. It doesn't matter how uncommon Lugia is, as long as he's good into it, he is feeling okay mentally, and he will make a return for Baltimore. Maybe we'll get him on a podcast soon.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
We can try.
Yeah. I also love this deck because it plays Legacy Energy. I hate to say I love Lugia, but I love any deck that really plays and uses Legacy Energy well, and I think this is the best deck to do it by a long shot. I mean, imagine a single prize Lugia V-Star. It's amazing. It's so annoying.
I think what upsets people about Lugia is that Cinchino is just such a good backup attacker. If it was like base Lugia from back in the day, I don't think people would be nearly as upset at it. I mean, like it's hitting 200. With powerful energy, you were hitting like what 280 max. Yeah. No, like that wasn't that bad, and you had to use all 4 powerful energy to do that.
That was amazing to just one-shot V-Star after V-Star after V-Star, and then you could use the Aura energies or whatever those rainbow energies were to discard Archeops and set up Raikous and what was it, the Rayquaza.
Yep, it was a mess.
It was a mess, and I think this is actually, honestly, this deck is up there in best Lugia builds ever. I mean, this is just so. I think it's just as complete. You have amazing single prizers to OHKO. You've got ways to snipe bench, take extra prizes, late game sweep, low energy. If you got rid of a lot of energy with Blood Moon or Saluna, like this deck genuinely is a jack of all trades. It's got everything going. It plays off the board. Oh no, you Ionoed me to 2. Don't care. Archeops for 4 energy. Like, what do you do?
And it's such a sleeper deck too. Look at that 4.2% play rate. If you go to like a 20-player locals, on average, less than 1 player is going to be playing Lugia, and they're probably going to win the entire thing.
Yeah.
Just because, like, it's just like play Lugia, give it a shot. When it first came out, I didn't like going against it, but I recently built the deck to help people test. I'm like, why do I have 4 alt arts of the Lugia V and why do I have gold V stars? Oh wait, I bought it.
Yeah, because it's good, man. I mean, the decks. If you wanted, I mean, well, okay. That's a bold statement to make when Lugia's biggest weakness has always been its own consistency. Look, your worst matchup is your starting hand. And if you want to run those odds, Like, they're fine. Just shuffle better. Get some katanas, get some dragon shields, whatever. Ultimate Guard is the other big sleeve going out right now. Yo, if any sleeve companies watching this, sponsor me.
Shameless plug.
Shameless. Well, not yet. I will though. I will plug you all the damn time. Just sponsor me. Lugia V-Star. Onto the rogue decks. The most fun thing. The most fun thing. In the one. Josh, this is you. You wanted it. Here it is. Take it away.
It's good again, boys and girls. It is good again.
All 3 of you.
Sablezard.
Review.
Sablezard. Where do I even start? Most of y'all probably know by now it doesn't run as a typical deck. It's Lost Box. It's aggressive right now, fitting into the meta in a very weird way, because obviously you just get damage off very quickly with a lot of Cramorant to stabilize, and then you clear your board, bait the game with Radiant Charizard.
It's not even in the late game, because you could just use Night Stretcher Mirage Gate now. Like, I think it's easier than ever to just abuse Radiant Charizard.
I mean, I haven't actually touched it, but I mean, I know it's good again, and I plan to, like, actually directly after this, probably.
Yeah,
but it's in a very good spot again. It makes my heart warm seeing this, because I think that in the next episode, it's going to be probably in the first section of the podcast, in my opinion.
I don't hate that. I mean, I think it could get more popular. It's still got a couple rough matchups that are really hard.
That is a very biased and hopeful prediction, but it's my prediction.
That's fair, and I respect the honesty with that. I mean, it doesn't really do... It's decent into Ancient Box, but I think Ancient Box is more consistent than Sablezard, which I think it has going for it. And it doesn't do well into Regidrago, but I think that's because you need the nuts to deal with Regidrago, but hear me out. If you just get 2 Manaphy in play, Regidrago can't abuse Kyurem like that, because if you have 2 Manaphy in play, what they want to do is Prime Catcher canceling Cologne on your Manaphy, and then sweep your whole bench, take 3 prize cards, tell you to cope, you're not coming back. If you ever get double Manaphy in play, and make sure that if they boss KO one, you use Night Stretcher or Rod Nest Ball to get it back, or Buddy Buddy Po, whatever. As long as you have 2 Manaphy in play, you save yourself from Kyurem, and your Regidrago matchup is more manageable. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm just saying it's there. And it's definitely worth learning how to deal with if you're a big Lost Box player. I think this is the best way, and 2 Manaphy is an absolute must, and there's no question about that.
Definitely. I just think it fits in really well right now. I forget what I was going to say after that. I had a whole spiel plan. It completely left my brain.
Yeah, you were so excited to talk about this before we started recording. I mean, look, it's Sablezard. Honestly, if there's ever the only Lost Box variant I've ever brought to any form of like official tournament is Sablezard. I mean, it's always been my favorite Lost Box variant. I think it's the most fun way to play it. I think it's the most... for the longest time, it was the most underrated way to play Lost Box. Everyone was always figuring out different ways to build Turbo Lost Box. What is the best for that? Turbo's not in a great spot right now. Although maybe you can make an argument that since it's a more aggressive meta, you can make a Turbo Lost Box build and keep up again, and that's fair. But I think Sablezard is just a better way to do that, because now you have Mirage Gate Night Stretcher for Radiant Charizard, which you can use anyways after a Cram or 2, and it's a single prizer. I think this is... If you're making a turbo version of Lost Box good again, just focus on making your Sablezard good again, because between Radiant Charizard and Crisis Punch, you've got it all,
Single prizers thrive in metas like this.
Yeah.
Sablezard fits perfectly. The only thing is to throw your consistency out the window if you're playing.
Yeah. But,
I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say. If it isn't Lost Tina, I don't know how to play it, so I'm just gonna take y'all words for it.
Fair.
I played every Lost Box. I played Lost Galissopod. I played every Lost Box.
Are you even a real person?
No, Josh was like the definition of a one-trick pony. It actually wasn't even funny. It's actually really embarrassing to think about how little Josh genuinely knows how to pilot if it doesn't have Comfy in it.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I did once this next
rotation comes around, it's gonna be a very rough couple of weeks for me.
Yeah, Josh is gonna pull an Aaron and just dip for a few months
until I learn Gardevoir. Oh, that's what I did. I pulled an Aaron when freaking Kyurem came out.
Yeah,
I literally did.
Yeah, well, not really. You didn't wait 2 years. You waited like a month.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, no, Aaron takes the cake on going MIA. Buddy went to get milk and never came back from the game. Like he was out, bro. But yeah, no, I think Sablezard is one of the best rogue decks you could play right now. And again, like, I know this is the #1 rogue deck. It's not that we think this is the absolute best rogue deck in the format. We just have 1 to 3 as 3 good rogue decks worth playing, worth thinking about. No particular order. Yes, we put Ancient Box in the #1 spot last time, and now it's what we have as the #1 for good reason. But I'm not saying this is the best rogue deck or any of the others are. I just think they're fun and they're good and they're worth playing. So with that, let's jump on to #2. And we got Snorlax Stall. Again, always people sleeping on well,
Sleep Society.
Even on the sleep Pokemon, baby.
yeah, it's the way to do it. If you're wondering what the cards are behind it in this list, also these lists are just people doing really well in Limitless recently. That's what they are. Just move the cameras for a little bit. There we go. Now it's back. It's an amazing deck. It does amazing. It's got some phenomenal matchups. Obviously, Roaring Moon, stuff like that. Anything with Petron EX, you're cooked. Nothing you can do against it. But it's got a good Charizard matchups. A lot of decks are taking out a second Canceling Cologne and just leaving one in the deck. Like, Charizard only plays one Canceling Cologne, so it's very hard for Charizard to deal with two Cornerstone Ogerpons without using their Dusknoir very efficiently. But you could burn through those resources by using Avery, Misfortune Sisters to get rid of her candies. You know, there's plenty of ways to deal with it. So I think double Ogerpon is a necessity in stall at this point. And yeah, I mean, stall has done stall things for the longest time. There's nothing anyone can say about it. It's always done amazing. So yeah,
It's just stall.
I mean, like, I was able to pilot stall and out-mill somebody with Chi Yu who was using an actual mill deck. That is the highlight of my stall career. I somehow pulled that off.
it's true.
Stall is just like one of those decks that you play into like a tournament of doom or something. And you're like, I'm gonna ruin someone's night, right? Because if someone concedes, you just have that feeling on the other side of that keyboard, all they can do is hit the emote button. But if there was a text chat, they're getting banned from the text chat. All right, that's what we're gonna say about stall. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, and with the infinite Pidgeot loot,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
you're just never gonna get milled unless they get rid of it.
Um,
You know what I mean? Like, you're not drawing out of everything. You can just throw it on the bench, put it back. You could even tell the judge, like, listen, do I even need to draw this? Because I'm just gonna put it on the bench and put it back. Like, you need me to draw per turn here? Because, like,
You do, but fair.
I'll pick it up and just put it back down then. I'll even have it face up so my opponent
With
can
the
see
Forest
that I'm
Hill
about to do it to
Stone,
him.
just so there's two cards. Like, yeah.
So as we got done saying, me personally, I've never piloted this deck because I only pilot Comfeys. But the one thing I can say about this deck that I've seen, this deck takes the Pokemon community and just turns it to the League of Legends community. This deck just has so much power to make everyone and everything toxic, myself included. When we were testing I was helping Chris test for Hartford, and I was still learning how to play the game.
That was
And he
also, let me preface, that was before, let's go through the list. That was before Avery, Zerosix Machinations, Erica's Invitation, Accompanying Flute, Handheld Fan, Night Stretcher, what else we got here? Yeah, and Cornerstone Ogerpon. That was
before Stall was
when you
cool.
had to use Pulling Currents Manaphy to
was
steal
before
things.
Stall was cool.
Yes, yeah.
But I was helping Chris test, and
Cool.
he was playing Stall, and I was still kind of learning. So I will forever hate this deck because I played this deck, 6 months before it was good. I played against
Played
this deck.
against it? Oh my
Yeah.
god, dude. It honestly, it was probably like 8. I mean,
More?
that was a
Yeah,
tournament
yeah.
in late May or early
It
June.
was mid-May.
Mid-May.
May
Yeah, it was right
23.
after school ended. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
late May. This deck didn't get good until Pokemon 151, which came out in like December,
September.
January-ish.
No, September.
151.
It was a mini. Yep. Yeah, it was a mini. Mini always comes around August, September. Like how it just came out last month or early this month.
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
That's
Oh,
when
no.
151
That was
blocked.
when it took out a regional. Was much
Yes.
later. Yeah. But no, but this, yeah, you played against a very scuffed version of this
But
list
yeah,
we're
I
now
hate
looking
Stall.
at, but
I'll play it eventually.
you got abused.
It'll probably pop up here now with my new decks to play because I'm gonna learn. I think it worked already.
Stall is a very good deck to pick up. I mean, it's amazing. It always has amazing matchups. People will always forever not tech for it and then complain when they lose against it. They'll never respect it. It's one of those decks you can kind of rely on that happening. Like, oh, when you pick a deck and you go to a big
Always.
tournament, it's like, oh, what if people tech this card in their deck? That's a worry. The people hate teching for Stall. They never will. It won a regional and people complain and still refuse to tech. Poke Twitter was all ways to tech for Stall, and yet people never did any of them. So it's like, it's Stall.
It's
It
just
always-
it's the old Iron Thorns. Like, people saw it, they saw it was good, and they were like, dang, I only need one card to tech for this. I'm not gonna do it. Who's gonna play Stall? And then they end up playing against Stall, and then they get upset. It's like, dude, you did it to yourself.
Real.
Yeah.
So, Stall. Our third rogue deck, Avery, this is all you. You wanted to hear? Go for it, man.
All right.
Move that so you
Listen
can see
up,
the
sit
last
down. All you guys sit in your seats because I'm about to teach you a masterclass on perfect math, all right? Zoroark V-Star. Amazing ability. Your V-Star ability, discard your hand, draw 7. You have Research built in, and you can use it whenever you like. You have Squawk, discard your hand and draw 6. You play 3 Research. You play a Judge. You are going to go through half of your deck in one turn on a Mew VMAX type beat, except it's not every turn, all right? So y'all can relax, all right? I know I put that in your mind. I know you're upset. All right, let's keep it down. Let's keep it down, all right? Dodrio is one of the best backup attackers for this deck. It is your draw engine. Put a damage counter on it, draw a card. Boom, easy. And then it has the attack, does 10 base, but 30 more for each damage counter on the Pokemon. So,
at 280.
Exactly. Perfect. And with Zoroark V-Star hitting for 280, because it does 50 for each Pokemon in play that has damage counters on it on your side of the board. And with the DTE 6, you're doing 280, which is perfect math for a lot of V-Stars and a lot of popular V-Stars, like Regidrago. You're OHKOing Regidrago. Remember, guys. Or Lugia. And then you have Gengar, which has the amazing ability that if it's on your discard pile, you can throw it onto your bench and put 3 damage counters on it. Now, why is this awesome? Because of the card damage pump, you can move up to 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon onto your others in any way you like. So you bring Gengar back from the discard pile. It starts off with 30, damage pump. Put 10 here, 10 here. Boom, you're hitting for 150, 130 with DTE. There you go. You use Dodrio. Boom, now you're hitting for 200, 180 with DTE. And you throw another Gengar in the discard pile throughout the game, because you're going to be going through half your deck on your first turn anyway with Squawk and your Zoroark V-Star ability. You're going to go absolutely nuts. And this is one of those decks that plays Cypher Maniac and actually utilizes it perfectly.
Yeah,
Cypher Maniac is one of those cards.
Insane.
Oh, absolutely. Cypher Maniac is one of those cards that's like busted when you read it, but you have to be in a very specific situation to be able to use it as effectively as the card wants to be. It's a really good card, but people don't want to use their supporter for the turn to use it. That's why you subjugate your supporter with V-Star's ability. You discard your hand and draw 7, and then you use Cypher Maniac, or before you even discard, because you're going to draw anyway, play Cypher Maniac, put 2 cards that you want, that you're going to need, and put them on top, then you V-Star, grab what you need, and figure it out from there. Now, this deck, A-Spec, is Max Belt, one of the most slept-on A-Specs in the game, aside from Secret Box, which Secret Box has been seeing a lot of love lately.
Yeah, it's not really slept on anymore.
A lot of decks have been playing Secret Box, and that's one of those cards I was like, when it comes out, that's going to be slept on, but it's going to be awesome. Maximum Belt, your Pokemon do 50 more damage to your opponent's Pokemon EX. What's that great for? Charizard EX. Even if you have the DTE attached and all your Pokemon have damage counters, you're hitting for 330. Perfect math. The only things you're not taking out, though, are the forbidden... I don't even want to say it. The Torterra EX. That thing is left with 10 HP. The one time. Unless it was ready Alakazam and you throw a damage counter from one of your opponent's Pokemon onto the active, then you're hitting for 340.
You could.
Then you're hitting for 340. Sharon's Care is an absolute troll card. If your opponent whiffs the one-hit KO, you can tell them that's cute. Do it again. What else do we have in this deck that's awesome?
You somehow never mentioned Gapejaw Bog, so in case you can't get Gengars into play, literally just play your Stadium and then bench your Pokemon, and boom, now you don't need Gengar. Like, the deck genuinely has it all. I think as another option for the deck as well, because there is genuinely different ways you could play around with this deck. You could take out like Judge and maybe like a Jet Energy, or even a switch because you play 2 Jet. I don't know. You could mess around with stuff like that. You could put in 2 Psychic Energies because now you could use Gengar as a single price attacker. You could use Radiant Alakazam as a single price attacker. Like this deck, you genuinely can fiddle around with this list and really cook around different things. Because it just opens the door for more plays. Like, if Dodrio's not doing enough and carrying its weight as a single price attacker, throw in a Gengar. If you're worried about Cornerstone Ogerpon, use Gengar. It does a damage counter, so you don't care about, Ogerpon's ability and stuff like that. So,
exactly. Yeah. And if Gengar gets knocked out, you can just put it right back down and tell him, all right, fine, it's coming back. Zoroark has the ability, and this is because, like, I'm saying this because, like, Zoroark is one of my top 3 favorite Pokemon of all time, so, like, of course I'm gonna have some bias. Y'all need to understand that. But this deck has an actual ability to smoke everything in the top right now.
This was always one of the most consistent decks I've ever touched, easily, was Zoroark V-Star because of the Phantom Star ability. And I think in the way our format is so insanely aggressive right now, if Regidrago has a spot, because most decks are choosing to go second, this deck can choose to go first and get some Zorks down to evolve. It has a spot in the same way Regidrago does. It could swing hard, take Okos. You've got great single press attackers, which is actually something Regidrago V-Star doesn't have. Besides Radiant Charizard, like this one, I think Dodrio is much easier to get going because you could use it as early or as late as you want. Like this deck has a lot going for it right now. I also think something worth. Maybe I overlooked this list when we made it. Take out one Jirachi, put in a second Manaphy for the same reason, like Sable's art is. You know, just in case you're playing against Regidrago, you want to protect your Dodrios, you don't want to get Prime Catcher canceling Cologne. Put in two Manaphy for the same exact reason. But yeah, this list legitimately has so many outs, so many answers to so many different things. It's a lot of fun.
And this is, like, spoiler alert, I'm thinking about, as long as it's okay with everybody here, and, like, they have the singles and everything for me, and I can borrow them, I might pilot this to Baltimore.
Bro, I told you, I have every card in this deck. Like literally just tell me, yeah. I've got a 4-4 Zoroark line, I've got a 4-4 Dodrio, I think I've got 2 Gengars, Alakazam. I only have 1 Alt-Art Manaphy, in case you want to match, but I have 2 Reverse Hollow Manaphys. I got a Squawk, I got everything, man.
I'll tell you
a lot of it too, actually.
When we're testing,
yeah.
day 1, I'll figure it out. Because I'm pretty sure I already have all the cards for Chiampao coming, like, by the end of the week.
Perfect.
Along with my custom sleeves.
Okay. Sweet.
And I have a Chiampao list that's cooking right now, guys. That a lot of people aren't playing. Because I've also noticed, like, sort of like a side note, a lot of Chiampao lists haven't changed since Iron Hands came out. What's wrong with y'all? Change your list, all right? Because Chiampao's at a really low point. No one's changing their list with it.
I think it's at a low point because out of all of the hyper-aggressive decks, it is the same vibe, but it has to go first. And I think that's something that sets it apart too much for the meta right now.
Yeah, it is a 50-50 most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, like they could easily boss KO a Frigibax if you don't get 2 down and you're cooked. Like I think out of all of the hyper-aggressive decks in the current format we're facing, Chiampao's not the one that will compare as well to Raging Bolt, to, Miraidon, stuff like that. I'm not saying don't play it. Like, I'm not going to tell Avery don't play because I know he's an amazing Chiampao player, but he's also changed his list to deal with that a little more and has some other options to fall back on, which I'm not going to say in case he does bring it to Baltimore. I don't want people knowing his 60, but, like, you don't even play Iron Hands, do you?
No, I completely X'd that out of the list.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Chiampao can adapt into this meta. You just have to be a little more creative and not be afraid to not have Limitless give you the exact guide to your matchup spread and your deck list and like what you should play and whatnot. You know, like and if just shameless plug, join the Discord if you want help doing stuff like that. Just join, ask us. Like, no one's really asked, but if people are like, yo, like, do you have time for like a private 15-20 minute call, help me make a list or something like that, like, you don't, like, let me know, man. My schedule's a little more hectic, but like we'll make time for you guys. And it might not be me, it might be Avery, but like one of us will come, or Josh, like one of us will come through and try to help you just brainstorm, because it's always nice if you just need a person to help you like spitball a few deck like cards and deck ideas. Like, just let us know. This is what we do, is build goofy lists.
You've said it perfectly. This is one of the, like, adapt your decks, guys. Like, genuinely. Going to Limitless and finding, like, the #1 winning deck list for what you want to make is awesome for a base. That's the foundation of your house, all right? You get to design the furniture. You get to design whatever you need. That's your job. Of course, you can always play, like, the #1 list. Like, the Battle Arena deck for Charizard is going to come out, and it's literally, like, one of the top Zard lists from before Shout of Fable came out, because it doesn't have like the Dustborn line, but it is one of the best performing Charizard lists. That's awesome. If you want to grab that as a base and throw it.
Some of the Charizard lists right now don't play it, and I think that's actually fine. It's not a mandatory card in Charizard. Like, if you really wanted to cut that for more consistency, because Dusknoir does, I think, cut into the consistency of Charizard. If you wanted to cut that to make it more consistent, like, I would recommend a beginning player doesn't play Dusknoir to get a vibe for the deck, and then include it if you feel like it's needed. But it's absolutely not needed, I think.
Yeah, have fun with the game. That's like why we're here.
Yeah.
Winning regionals, NAICs, and Worlds is awesome.
Yeah.
But what's equally as fun, aside from like prizing, is going to your locals and having your opponents pick up your cards to read them. That's really, really fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm 3 for 3 on having people do that to me at regionals. I'm going 4 for 4. Guarantee it. Guarantee it with my list. My list is a pile. I'm so excited for it. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm still fine-tuning it, but My list is... This might be one of the best piles I've ever created. I'm so excited.
So glad that you have a pet now, because I'm gonna need that as an emotional support animal if I play you.
She's lucky she can't see it.
That's so
For those
bad.
of you who don't know, I have a blind cat. Oh, yeah. So, Zoric V-Star, give it a go. Top tech cards.
All right, I'm not gonna crash out again. Y'all see the card that's circled with arrows, right? Play that card. If you don't, I don't want to see a single word out of your mouth about quad thorns or stall.
Anything you can complain about. Anything you can complain about in this matter right now, Canton Cologne fixes.
Your
Not
deck
everything, but
is-
a lot.
Your deck is not so streamlined that taking out a single card is gonna kill your entire vibe. just play a canceling cologne or stop.
And if it is,
please.
Yeah, if it is, you need to change your list. If this one canceling cologne is ruining your consistency, your list, there's something innately wrong with it. Other tech cards, Pokemon League headquarters are in a basic dominated format, makes sense. Cornerstone Ogerpon, we're in an ability dominated format, makes sense. Noivern, I think, is one people are sleeping on a lot. I think you can make decks with a 1/1 Noivern line. You could play Thornton, you could stick Noivern into your Regidrago list if you're a Regidrago player. Like, Covert Flight will destroyed half the meta, or at least buy you enough time to get yourself set up that the rest of your deck can take over or just auto win you matches. Sandshrew, I think, is the one I wanted to spend the most time talking about. It's definitely a very obscure card. You're probably wondering why the hell is it on the screen. With the Sand Screen ability, trainer cards in your opponent's discard pile can't be put into their deck by effects of item or supporter card, so it essentially stops Silene and Palpad and Rod and a bunch of cards like that. It doesn't stop Night Stretcher because that goes to hand, but so many decks are relying on Palpad. Like, there's an insane amount of Ancient decks doing amazing. Raging Bolt and Ancient Box and Roaring Moon are all up in the top decks. All of them play Palpad for their Sadas. You play Sandshrew, they can't use Palpad, and that can really, really be an awesome surprise card in the late game to really make your opponent sweat. You want a stall tech that's not Canceled Cologne? Put Sandshrew in it. It's there. It's so easy to just bench. And then if you're like, oh, but it'll get destroyed by, like, Dragapult's Phantom Dive, okay? Don't play it. What? Like, it's, you know, it's, yeah. Yeah. Tech
I
cards.
think that hits the nail on the head there.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and again, just to reiterate, stop posting on Twitter about how much you hate Quad Thorns. Stick a Canceling Cologne in your deck, or stick a... I guess we could have put Fluttermane up here too. Just like Lugia player might want to sit behind a Fluttermane. The same exact thing. Use your V-Star power. Use your abilities. If you're that upset about Quad Thorns doing amazing, we have the technology. Do it. Just use it.
And if you're not going to do it, please find other ways to cope than posting on Twitter.
I mean, if you gotta post on Twitter to just, again, get it out of your system, do it. But, like, hey, don't say that there's no way to deal with this deck. I'm sick of seeing those posts. If you're just complaining about the deck because you don't like playing against it, all right.
That's what I mean.
That's fair. But you can deal with it if you want to. Just letting people know. It's there. It's
And
manageable.
It like so many of the decks that cry about it only need one turn of abilities
God,
too.
yeah.
Like, like with Zard, like you're good. Just basic attach, rare candy Zard. Now you have 2 Zards out in play. You don't really need a third to get the energy out. You're
And if
good.
you look at the decks that we had that, like, you know, I'm just flipping back in the presentation real quick. Zard plays 1 Canceling Cologne. Like, all these decks won a tournament as recent as possible. That's pretty much what I went for with this. Raging Bolt doesn't necessarily need it because you have Sada. Gardevoir EX doesn't necessarily need it because you have Fluttermane to sit behind. So it's essentially the same exact thing. Roaring Moon plays Sada, doesn't need it, doesn't rely on abilities like that. Regidrago V-Star, where there's 1 Canceling Clone in that. Lugia V-Star. Actually, I was shocked, and I actually did say that to Josh before we started. This Lugia does not have a way to deal with Quad Thorns, but Quad Thorns also isn't insanely popular right now like it was maybe like a week or a week and a half ago. But, like, Lugia V-Star lists have tried putting in a Fluttermane, have tried putting in a Canceling Cologne. Like, it's there. The technology's there. Just give it a shot. So, yeah.
I beg of you guys, please.
Yeah. All right.
Please.
We've spent an unholy amount of time going through all that somehow. So let's jump, because we still have a lot more. This is going to be our longest episode by far. So, who's that Pokemon? Josh picked the images for us today. So you can walk us through. I'm going to click ahead, get rid of the first box. Avery, this one's for you. I know what it is. I just wanted to make sure Josh was, like, you know, all good with picking images and stuff.
Oh, is it bad that I already know it because I have a deck for it?
No. No.
I'm sorry, bro. This is Rubber Room. I literally play that deck
Wait,
for
which
fun
card?
on ladder.
Maybe you got the wrong card.
Dang it.
I know that there's 2 single prize ones, right? There's definitely 2 single prize ones.
Card. This is a TCG dominated game. The Pokemon is not enough. Josh, I'll try to save you.
Thanks.
Gotcha.
I know the single prize ones are. So it's one. It has to be either the other single prize that nobody's ever thought of, or the EX. But I feel like since nobody talks about the other single prizer, it's got to be the EX, right? It's got to be Rubber Room EX. It's got to be.
Good job.
That was quick.
Good job.
All right.
I'm sorry, boss. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I literally made that
That's
deck
okay.
for the meme.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I didn't tell Josh that when you picked it. Because you and me spent a week talking about Rever Room. So I was like, you know what?
Yo,
Hey, Josh,
hear me
maybe
out.
join the podcast more often, and I'll make sure you know these things.
I'm sorry.
Read the Discord. These are all in chats you're in. Like,
I'm not active in Discord.
yeah, get on it, because these were not in DMs. These were in the Discord chats that we are all in.
Like, my man, I've thrown 3 of those assault vests and a great cape
Oh my
until
God.
my opponent deal with it.
Yeah. No, it's
You're gonna
actually
get this
really
one. I have a
funny
feeling
list.
this one. I have a feeling you're gonna get this one pretty quick.
All right, I'm gonna move on to the next image. We got, oh my Christ,
Yeah, I'm not getting this one.
oh my God, what?
I think we need to bring out the questions, chat. I think
Yeah.
we need to bring out the questions.
Okay, that's all I needed. I
Um.
need at least one question asked.
All right, I just want to spitball what's going on in my mind. Part of me wants to just go. It looks like it would be something that's in like Frigibax, Arctibax, Orbex Caliber. I don't know what else is that chaotic. Part of the Pokemon has to be in it. I'm gonna go with that black thing in the top right. Is a spike on Frigibax jumping into the lake.
No.
Okay, all right, that was a guess. That was a guess, not a question. But I tried to send it right there.
I know you know this card because you traded it to me. I know you say that.
That is
I
the
never had any
dead
of
giveaway.
those.
Dead giveaway.
I never had any of those 3 cards.
I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I
I'll
think
take
you
that as a
traded
guess.
it-
I'll take that as
You
a
traded it to
question.
me.
That counts as
You
a
trade-
question.
No, no,
'cause
no,
that was
you
a
have
hint.
to.
No, that was a hint.
Okay.
So that's a easy question. You got to make it fair. I traded it to you. What the heck? It's standard legal, right? Just double checking you knew the rules?
Yes.
Alright, cool. Is it in the Sword Shield era or Scarlet Violet era?
Scarlet Violet.
Scarlet Violet. Have I ever played this card in a deck to a tournament?
No.
Okay. Definitely no? Like 100% no? Okay.
There's no way. If you have, okay.
Alright, no. At least that you would know. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. So that's
Alright, hold on.
3 questions. Yeah, you're good, Avery.
Just checking because this is Chris's card to guess, basically. If I move this second box and get a look, is that gonna appear for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm not doing it.
that would kind of ruin it for me.
I'll just send it to you.
So I've got 3 questions. I know I've traded it to you. So this card is is this card a trainer gallery?
Yes.
Oh man. Oh my god. Dude, what am I staring at? Oh, I'm gonna be so upset when I miss this, aren't I? I'm gonna be
Nah, it's
livid.
a rough one. It's
What's
a
up?
rough one.
There's a rough
It's a
one.
rough
All right, that makes me feel a little better because I.
But I
how
picked
many-
it with the intent that I knew for a fact that you saw it.
Yeah, I
because-
mean, you said I traded it to you. I feel like I've helped you get you so many cards. I've traded you so much. Like that actually throws me off even more because I'm trying to think what trainer galleries I've owned that I've traded to you and not Ben. I don't. Is it a card you've played in a deck?
No.
So that means it's a Pokemon you like.
Yes.
That wasn't a question. That was me thinking,
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah,
take
yeah.
it. Because you are very particular with your trades. So if you haven't played it in a deck, it's a Pokemon you like, which tells me it's Ambipom Cramorant. Like this. There wasn't an Ambipom with that much of a chaotic art, was there? I don't think so. There wasn't a Cramorant with the Cramorant never had a trainer gallery, I don't think.
No, it is not. It is not.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me so sad.
Yeah.
You could have a Cramorant trainer gallery with
Yeah.
a Pikachu in its mouth, and you haven't done it yet. Why?
Yeah, no, there's no Cramorant trainer gallery. There was an Ambipom trainer gallery, but it was Ambipom in the woods. I don't know. All right, so
No,
with
it was
this card,
Apom. That was
or
Apom.
Apom, excuse me. That's you know what I meant. And I don't remember if I've ever owned that card or if you did. I remember one of us traded for it for you. I forgot if I had to trade for it to give it to you or you just traded for it.
Yeah, I think I traded for it.
I don't
So it
remember
was-
either,
I think it was
but I know
from
we've done that a lot too, which is like whatever,
Yeah.
someone didn't like your cards, liked mine, or vice versa. That would be a really funny way to think about this. Oh man, how many questions have I used? 4? 5?
4.
4? Okay.
4.
I got one more left. Wow. I'm trying to think of a card, a Pokemon you like. That's a trainer gallery that I have not played in a deck. You haven't played in a deck either. Was that a question I asked, or am I making that up?
You asked that, yeah.
I did ask that. So you did, yeah. Oh, that's why I know you like the Pokemon.
Yes.
Because you're very particular. That's true. That's true. Okay, and that means it's definitely not Frigibax, Arctibax, or Baxcalibur then. Because you have never once in your life told me you like those Pokemon. And if it is one of those 3 cards, you are a dirty liar.
It's not.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was gonna say, I'm gonna be very upset. I can't look at cards. I want to like pull out my binder. It's right here so bad and flip through because I feel like if I find a spot like that it would have been in, I would like, oh, I got it. It was in that like that second row, like 3rd column, whatever. No,
I'm pretty
I can't
sure
do that.
you don't count this. I'm pretty sure you traded to me right after you pulled it.
Right after I pulled it.
You never really you never had it like fully.
Oh
You pulled
God,
it,
I'm never gonna know. Oh man, I gotta
pulled
just
it,
guess things.
and I was like, oh
You
my
had
God,
the
this
card
is my
for
thing.
30 seconds.
I probably did. Did
and you
I
probably
get
haven't
it?
seen it on ladder.
Is this in any deck anyone's ever played, or is it like one of the most obscure cards ever? No? Dude, yeah, I'm like completely
Sorry, I thought it was too
stumped.
hard.
No, it's not too hard. I'm actually very happy that I was completely stumped, dude. This is awesome. Shoot. I mean, I just gotta throw some, but... What would be the Pokemon in this? It's Toxtricity.
No.
Damn, I thought maybe the purple. I could see Toxtricity having some crazy trainer gallery. I need another random guess. Pokemon you might like. What other thing could be a Pokemon in this image? Is it the black thing? I don't know if I've gone over on questions.
Yes.
You definitely. It's that
it
black spike that I thought
Yeah.
was like a thing on
Yes.
Vex. Oh, it is. Wow. Okay. Yeah, dude. I'm
If you're that stumped, I'll even tell you what body part it is.
sure. Yeah. No, you could take the
It
chip
is
on this
part-
one. You got me.
It is part of its ear,
God.
or
Dude.
maybe actually, it's most of its ear.
It's most of its ear. I have no idea. I don't even have the slightest clue on where to begin. I'm gonna move the
One
thing.
more.
Just
It's from Gen 9.
I just
Pokemon
moved
is
it.
from Gen 9.
Grafai. I owned that card.
Yes.
When?
I know you own that card because it's in my binder.
Oh, you do like Grafai too, because you got the deck box with it. Ah, man,
Yep.
I forgot you like Grafai. When did I own that? When did I ever pack that?
Trying to think.
Paldea Evolved? Did we even go to the pre-release? I don't know if I owned that. I'm gonna check.
Really?
If
That's
we
from someone
never-
else? Oh, no.
Oh, if we never went to the pre-release, you definitely traded it from someone else. Dude, we never went to the pre-release because I don't
no.
have... I have a Baxcalibur.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Because we pulled it when I was at your house after the second time I came to your house after Hartford in that summer. Because that was right when Paldea Evolved came out, like the week prior. Because we bought a bunch of packs and then you packed it and traded to me.
I did? I have no memory of that. I believe you. I don't think you're lying to me. But yeah, no, I literally must have owned that card for 10 seconds. I was trying to think of a trainer gallery I've owned for a while. Grafai, I completely slipped my mind. Zero
My
memory
God.
of that thing.
Sorry.
Very phenomenal card. No. That was very well played. Yeah, To be honest, I don't even remember seeing this card in my life. I never would have. This was amazing. I never would have got this. I could have had an infinite amount of guesses.
I think about this card like every day.
I respect it. No,
That's
I respect it. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't. Well done. Well done. Moving on. Enough of that. Stellar Crown. And we could kind of just skim through these a bit because it's already been like an hour, 20 minutes. And I mean, I think a bunch of YouTubers have also started playing with a bunch of decks and stuff like that. But I mean, we each have a slide with some of the cards we're like most excited for. Sorry, just gonna click on this just so I could move through stuff, and I'm gonna pull up my translations here real quick in case I like forgot what anything does. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right, we got Hydrapple EX. This is the card I'm looking the most forward to as a former Shadow Rider player. That was the first deck I ever made. This Hydrapple EX is just very similar to Shadow Rider in my mind. It has the ability, you attach a grass energy to one of your Pokemon, you heal 30 damage for it. So pair that with Ogerpon, you've got an insane amount of grass energy in play in like one turn, and then it does 30 damage plus 30 more for each grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So if you get 500 grass energy in play, you are effectively doing 1500 damage. Obviously 500 grass energy, is not possible, but you get the point. There is Orthworm EX, which Avery and I have joked about. That will probably be one of the first videos I make after Hydrapple. It has the ability, when you attack this Pokemon, you take 2 damage counters for every metal energy attached to this Pokemon. Since you need 4 energy to attack, all you need to do is use Matang, tell your opponent to cope. You swing 150, they swing into you, they take like 8 trillion damage. Similar vibe to like Mousehold almost. Unlike Mousehold, this thing hits for 150, which fixes the math a little better than Mousehold's 120 plus DTE would be 100 essentially. The ability might not be 120 damage counters like it is on Mousehold, but there's so many recycling cards in the format to just keep Matang rolling and keep your Orthorns having a bunch of energy. Like, I think it's going to be a really, really fun deck. I don't think the competitive potential is insane, but I think it's definitely solid. Archaludon, the single prize one, not the EX that's coming out later in the fall. This one has an ability that says any of your Pokemon with a metal energy attached have a free retreat cost, so you can just pivot between them. It swings 160. It says it can attack next turn, but if you have 2 Archaludons in play, you can use the ability to just free retreat and just flip-flop back and forth and 2-shot pretty much everything except for Charizard EX. But a Vitality Band or any tool ever can like any damage tool ever can help fix that math and make sure you 2-shot it, which I think will be awesome. Garganacl EX is actually a card I have been itching to play ever since it dropped in Japan. I've seen it in so many lists in Japan, and I love tank decks. I love defensive decks. It's got the ability, you're not affected by any status conditions, which isn't insane, but it's kind of nice if your opponent somehow uses Monkey Dory to attack and try to stall. But then it has the attack, 1 fighting, 2 colorless, 170, perfectly 2 shots Charizard EX, which is what I'm looking for. You take 60 less damage per turn, which is a bit less than Guja, but it has 340 HP, so it's actually tankier than Guja V-Star, which I think is amazing. And pair that with Rocky, Rocky Chestplate and cards like that. Lake Acuity, Rocky Chestplate, you're taking another 50. Now you've already subtracted 110 damage from your opponent's attack on top of your 340 HP. This deck I am itching to play when it drops as well. Honestly, I'm between this and Hydrapple as like decks I'm really gonna look forward to being like one of the decks I play the most. Also, what is it? Big Bomb or whatever the massive bomb is. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I don't remember. Deluxe Bomb. It's only here for Mousehold. This is gonna put Mousehold back on the map as a rogue deck for me and a deck I can't wait to showcase on the channel again. People seem to love the Mousehold video, and I've been waiting for this tool to fix it. Essentially, what it does is when you attack this Pokemon with damage, you take 12 damage counters. So if I have all my Mouseholds in play or town, whatever, and you take 12 damage counters from the ability and then 12 from the tool, you're taking 240 damage counters by attacking my Mousehold, which can one-shot KO a Raging Bolt and completely ruin the game, because then I could take KOs from attacking and you attacking me. So I just 4 or 5 cards I cannot wait to see. I've got some awesome decks planned to make with these. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. All right, who's next?
All right, go off.
Josh, I think this one is you, big guy.
My mic was muted. That's on me.
Oh, no, you're good.
Sorry, I haven't talked for the past 30 seconds.
That was awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward. Sorry,
that's my bad.
You're good.
I was at my dog. Anyways, first 3 on the left. It's gonna be something called Kofu Box. I'm very excited for it. I've been really excited ever since I saw it on Twitter. So pretty much the premise is Scribominable and Veluza, they both have an ability called Prep Work. attacks used by this Pokemon cost one colorless less for each Kofu card in your discard pile. And then Kofu, it's a decent supporter. Pulling up the translation.
Yeah.
It is put 2 cards in your hand at the bottom of your deck in any order, then draw 4 cards. It's nothing great, but it's a good little draw. And then going with the Pokemon where you're swinging for 250 for 1 water energy, and that's it. I mean, yeah, you can't use it next turn, but that's really good still. And then Veluza does 110. It's just cram.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's just cram.
Which is really nice though, because then it opens up the door for Crisis Punch being amazing in this deck.
Yes.
And stuff like that, because you could use Crisis Punch even on Crabominable for 1 water energy, Veluza for free. Like, it's gonna be a really fun box deck.
And then something that's also kind of underrated that I can see working is you can use Evolution for free, Devolution for free very easily. By only getting
Devolution will be great. Evolution,
yeah, you only get,
honestly, depending on what your engine is, you might not even need TM Evolution.
Like, yeah, but see, like, you could throw in 1 Kofu, 1 Veluza, 1 Evolution, and just call it dead. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, the Dreadnought, which I think would be pretty fun because the ability is Iron Defense Shell. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's attacks if that attack's damage is 200 or more. So
That's
you
so fun.
So you insert any plus 50 HP card, whatever card you want. You're putting this thing between probably 160 and 190 HP. Our opponents are gonna have to number so accurately to actually hit you right. And then
if you put Bravery Charm on this thing, just thinking about Raging Bolt, like, yes, it could just 2 energies swing every time, but if you put a Bravery Charm, now they're 2-shotting it. Because if they do any more, you prevent the damage. Yeah, this is going to be fun for sure.
And the only issue is its attack isn't that good. It's only 80 damage if your opponent's active Pokemon has damage counters on it, 80 more. So you can't just come out and instantly use it. But after you're spreading some damage around, you come out with Dreadnought, hit for 160 consistently every turn. It's going to stack up quick, especially being a single prizer that cannot take damage half the time because a lot of attacks just base do 200 to 1. Mm-hmm. And then Terapagos, we all know Terapagos. Everyone's heard about it already. It was one of the first cards that was revealed. Its top attack is...
If you don't remember, I could tell you, you do 30 more damage for each of your basic bench Pokemon in play. So when you get the area under depth 0, which is the stadium right next to it, it's basically Skyfield. You could have 8 Pokemon in play, so you could swing for a total of whatever 3 times 8 is, 240 damage, DTE 220. So you're basically one-shotting every basic EX, except for the slightly tankier ones like Raging Bolt and Roaring Moon, but that's nothing a non-DTE energy setup can't fix, or a tool. So, not bad. And then the bottom attack does 180 damage, and you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by any basic non-colorless Pokemon. So if you're playing against Miraidon and they don't have a way to, gust around Terapagos or, Prime Catcher boss it, you'll just auto-win. Or if this is, the only Pokemon in play, you can just auto-win that matchup. So, definitely a fun card, one of the best stellar Pokemon that will be coming out. This one's going to see a lot of play in a few decks, and it's going to create its own deck for sure. Like this has a lot of potential to be in a few, random decks.
Yes.
Yeah. All good, Josh?
Yep. That's all I have to say. Play Kofu Box when it comes out. It's going to be good. I know it. I have faith.
Real. Avery, my guy.
All right. Time to close this off with something fun. First off, Cinderace EX all the way on the left. First attack for fire, and 2 colorless, does 280, but during your next turn, you can't use it. I mean, we have cards like this all the time. We know how to get around it. I mean, you're going to end up...
It's got a free retreat.
There you go.
Retreat. That's it.
Just put it back, play Switch. There you go. You're already... Or you can play this with...
Don't even need Switch.
And just bring it back up.
Or
throw on that Binding Mochi, get an extra 40. Now you're hitting 320.
Hear me out. Just set up 2 of them.
Yo, no way! Just say it's gonna be your main attacker. Just set up 2 of them. Retreat. Keep smacking for 280. You know what I mean? And that second attack. Now, listen. With these new Terra Pokemon, I understand the attack costs are crazy, right? That's 3 separate types of energy. That's where these next cards come in, right? But for now, we're gonna keep on Cinderace. For fighting, darkness, and a fire, it does 180 to whatever Pokemon you choose. 180 is a really great number because you're OHKOing things like Rotom V. Luminion V.
Wait, not Rotom yet. You do one. Rotom is 190.
Oh, my fault.
You're good. Mew EX, Squawk, Not Fezandipity, Luminion. Yeah, so 3 big support EX Pokemon will get KO'd.
You're just sending them to the discard pile, and that's huge because that's an extra 2 prizes. And if you don't have a second Cinderace set up, you could Flare Strike and then go for the volley. Or if you Cinderace and they take something back on the bench because they don't know another way around it, just take it right back up or take it out. You don't really need to play as many balls with a deck like this because and plus, Garnet Valley isn't like limited to like once per your turn. You can just keep smacking with it if your opponent likes to bench their Pokemon that support them.
Your Gardevoir opponent has 1 Curly in play.
Oh,
night.
So
yeah.
Second card, Glass Trumpet. This is a card I'm really excited for because it's gonna make Terra Pokemon like with these crazy attack costs so much better. When you play this card, you can only play it if you have Terra Pokemon, so you're not gonna be able to
use it on anything.
Use it on anything, right? Yeah. Use up to 2 of your bench colorless Pokemon and attach a basic energy from your discard pile to them. Now, that doesn't help with Cinderace. But with Cinderace, decks can play 2 different types of energy. You're not locked to one. You could play a fighting and you could play a darkness. It's not like the most convoluted strategy ever. And when you're playing a stage 2 deck, you can attach one on your basic, and then when you attack, you can attach the other. We have energy search cards all over the format. Take what you need, set up, and think about it, because like you're gonna be absolutely annihilating people.
It'll be really good with the Terrapagos though.
Oh, hands down. And what Glass Trumpet really helps is it just really gets you going. It really gets you going. We have Sparkling Crystal, which is also a tool card that I'm really excited to talk about. Whatever energy that you don't have, because a lot of these Terra Pokemon require 3 different types of energy, just take one out because it reduces your attack cost by 1 of anything. So you could honestly Flare Strike on Cinderace for a DTE for 260. As long as you have that crystal attached.
Hear me out.
You're good.
You could use the bottom attack. Yeah. You could use the Infernape that came out recently, which accelerates a fighting and fire energy from discard to 1 Pokemon. You could just Cinderace's bottom attack every turn.
All right, you just gave me an idea. I'm building that the day it drops.
Got you.
That's gonna be a fun deck. That's
and then you could pair it with Koraidon EX as well, which also uses firefighting, and then you got Shred just in case.
Yep. And Lapras EX. This is one of the first EXs that got revealed from the set, and I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of it, but that first attack, we're not even worried about it. Listen, 40 for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Listen, you could throw this in Champal, and it could start smacking. You don't have to discard anything. But that's also a lot of energy that you have to attach. But with Champal, you're getting rid of them anyway. So is it really that big of a loss? Probably not.
Late game sweep, just like Word.
Late game sweep for Lapras, awesome.
Yeah.
That second attack is what I like to see, though. Look at the top 20 cards of your deck. That's a third of your deck. And attach any number of energy cards you find there to your Pokemon. It doesn't have to be basic. If you somehow could pull this off, like, this is like a crazy concept.
Ambipom.
Ambipom, Dialga. Even Champao could use this. Yeah. You could use this in
Goodra.
What else?
Go in water.
Goodra.
Water Steel. You got Goodra. Yeah.
Like you can see that in the energy cost, like they picked certain decks that they want this to be good in. Water, you have Champao. Steel, you got your Dialga.
Water Steel, you got Goodra.
Like they said, we're gonna cook.
Mm-hmm.
And like in a deck like even Lugia, like if you somehow pull this off in Lugia, which you're probably not gonna be able to, but if you do somehow,
I don't think you would.
That it would be funny on like a ladder match.
Well, you'd have to play basic energies, and then it would make Archeops useless. Like,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Forget
also,
I said that,
say
but
basic.
Like,
yeah. No. But I like the idea. Like, did you guys get the point? Any deck that need energy in play, which is most of them. This could really, if you're playing one of those types of energies, you should look into the possibility of using Lapras as an early setup.
And I get 220 is weak. But with that 20 cards that you find, and you could attach like 15 special energy, next turn, you're saying you're making them sweat. You're shivering.
Especially if it's a defensive deck. If you got some comeback potential, like a single prize deck for the rest of the match, or Goodra with the attack that lowers damage. Like if you have a defensive deck, you might not mind sacking a Lapras to get you going.
And that's just like. Yeah, I mean, you basically said what I was going to say.
I apologize.
Nah, you're fine. Nah, you're good.
I was excited.
It's going to be a really, really fun card. It's probably not going to see the most competitive play out there, but in decks where it's in, it's going to shine. It is going to be very, very fun.
It'll get a video in the first week, don't worry.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, we all good with that?
Yep, I
Right.
think that's
With
it.
that being said, thank you, Slides Go, because I have to give it credit for these slides. If you want slides for your fun presentations, for class, for anything, for, you know, like little party nights where you guys all do fun presentations, use Slides Go to get backgrounds like the ones we have here. Slides Go, if you're watching this, please sponsor me. Not only do I use your presentations in this podcast, I've used your presentations or your slides for official presentations in my undergraduate studies, as well as now my graduate studies, because I've already had a couple projects assigned and we've already committed on using this with my group. So please, sponsor me. I love you. I love your slides. I love everything about them. Use these slides if you want, you know, just fun backgrounds for anything. And if you need any of my information, any questions about anything, our Discord is there. It's always in the link in the description down below. There's my Twitter profile. Just make sure you capitalize it for random things, because I think the link gets like finicky if it's not capitalized. And if you ever need me for anything official, like a sponsorship, use that email. Shoot me an email, and we'll get in touch. We'll figure something out. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Battle VIPs podcast. With that being said, I will catch you guys later. Stay epic. Peace.